Good afternoon from Los Angeles, California. I'm Dr. Ryan Ava. A federal judge granted the disgraced former President Trump's request for a special master to review the documents seized from Mar-a-Lago last month. The decision came down on Labor Day despite objections from the Justice Department. The former president's legal team argued the special master is needed to filter out any privileged materials from the DOJ's investigations, and the Justice Department has not said whether or not it will appeal the judge's decision. CBS News Homeland Security and Justice reporter Nicole Sganga laid out the next steps in this not-so-easy process of appointing a special master, as this person, whoever he or she is, has to check a lot of boxes. Friday is a deadline for both sides to submit a joint shortlist of special master candidates, plus outline the processes and duties of that outside expert. Now, those candidates must have a needed top secret security clearance and legal expertise to weigh in here. And if there are any disagreements, those need to be outlined in that brief and presented to the judge as well. Now, any disputes will also be arbitrated by the judge, Eileen Cannon, who ultimately decides and was, by the way, appointed to the federal bench by the disgraced, twice impeached former President Trump in 2020. Also, we may or may not get there. The Justice Department could appeal this ruling, and any appeal would be coming before a 3-judge panel in Atlanta. That's the United States Court of Appeals for the 11th Circuit. We should also note that 6 of those 11 active judges there were also appointed by the disgraced former President Trump. Now, the question is, how will the special master impact the Justice Department's ongoing criminal investigation into the disgraced former president's handling of those documents? The simple answer is that it won't stop the investigation altogether. However, it means that the Justice Department cannot continue to review those materials taken from Mar-a-Lago on August 8th or use them in any investigations until the review by the outside expert, the special master, is completed. Now, the Justice Department can still evaluate other evidence or present it before a grand jury, for example, in the meantime, but this likely means a slowdown to their efforts. There is, however, another carve-out here. In her order issued yesterday, Judge Cannon also said that the review by an outside expert, the Special Master Review, shall not interfere with the work of the Office of Director of National Intelligence. Remember, that office is undergoing an analysis of the potential risks to the national security following the removal of presidential papers from the White House. Keep in mind, some of those were marked classified or top secret, so the national security assessment marches on. That means there will be more than one set of hands on at least some of those documents, even as the Justice Department posits its own efforts to sort through them.
The question is, 1, if you have any thoughts on storage, 2, your interpretation of the special master ruling, and 3, does a procedural win like this matter when it's this late in the review?
Okay, so on storage, I think that it's a red herring. The question is not where the documents were stored, it's that the documents were stolen. And the analogy, to use Professor Murray's point, is if in that New York, rented locker, there was a bunch of stolen equipment and it was discovered, I don't think your defense is, this is just about, where I stored it in this storage locker versus that. It's that you stole the stuff in the first place. And we're now weeks into this search, and Donald Trump has never once provided a single explanation of what in the world he's doing with those documents. Now, with respect to the special master decision today, Ari, I've read some terrible rulings in my life, but this one's pretty much the worst one I've read in a long time. I honestly think that any of my first-year law students would have written a better opinion. I mean, even Bill Barr called this request by Donald Trump for a special master a crock of the S word. And there's so much wrong with it. I mean, just to begin, the judge says that these documents are potentially protected by executive privilege, and that President Biden hasn't weighed in on that question. But the Justice Department actually filed a document saying, from the archivist saying the president delegated to her and the Justice Department the question, is this stuff subject to executive privilege? She says no. She indeed says it's not even a close question. And yet the judge just blows that off entirely. And then the judge enjoins the entire investigation. I don't even understand how an investigation could quite be enjoined. There's serious constitutional problems and practical ones because the government's already looked at these documents, but she somehow thinks that she can enjoin the entire investigation from looking at these documents until the special master reviews that. We don't know how long that's going to take. So there's practical problems with it, and then there are very theoretical problems with it. I'm unaware of any circumstance in which a federal judge has done anything like this. She says, well, it's because Donald Trump's reputation is being undermined. That is what every criminal defendant says. Every criminal defendant would love a special master. Every criminal defendant says they're being unfairly targeted. Every criminal defendant says their reputation will be sullied. That can't possibly be the law. So in the end, I think that there's so much breadth to this ruling that I think the Justice Department has to appeal or at least seek reconsideration and clarification of what in the world she was thinking and what she meant. But in the absence of that, I think this is a real mistake.
All interesting. Do you remember part 3?
Part 3 was the practical consequences. And so I think that the Justice Department has two possibilities here. One, they can try and live with the special master. And I guess names will be submitted in a few days. And the judge did say in the last page of her order that this is just a, quote, brief pause. If it's truly a brief pause for a special master, that's one thing. The problem is that she hasn't actually told the special master what the task is. She says review it for whether these documents are protected by executive privilege. But the Supreme Court has said it's really the incumbent president who decides that. The incumbent president has said, hey, you know, none of this stuff is protected by executive privilege. So what in the world is a special master going to do? So I think there's so many practical problems that I think the department should go and seek clarification. And if the clarification comes back, yeah, the entire investigation is stopped. Then the department has to take an emergency appeal, an emergency stay to hold her decision in abeyance so that they can continue their investigation. And this matter may go up to the Supreme Court, but if it does, it should go up on a really quick timeline on the most expedited review. Trump's whole modus operandi is delay. And so I think the Department of Justice has to be very careful in trying to push this as fast as it can.
To support my work, please click the subscribe, the like button, and the notification bell so you wouldn't miss any of my new videos.